and blinding diseases at
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a nonstop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, this is Robert Pilot, host of Native Roots Radio. The Minnesota State Fair is more than food on a stick. It's a chance to celebrate Native culture and voices. On August 31st and September 1st, Native folk and blues rocker Keith Sokola and the Rangers, with special guest Gary Farmer, play the Prize Stage at 8 p.m. both nights. This concert is free with fair admission. The State Fair runs August 27th through September 7th. Get your tickets at mnstatefair.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 65, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 81. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, first, we're going to be joined by our friend Gwen Leaffe Carr, an Indigenous leader, strategist, speaker whose work and leadership continues to make an impact in our communities. And then we're going to be honored to welcome our friend Arvina, a political consultant and trailblazer who's made history as the first Native person elected in Madison, Wisconsin's Common Council. Arvina also served as the vice president, and she is our Native political consultant. And I want to get Gwen on here now and say a big how are you doing?
I'm well, Robert. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to show up in my car, but it has been one of those days. And I just found out that Dolly Parton passed away, literally, like
Yes.
5 seconds ago. And I met her years and years ago. And I always thought that she was an extraordinary woman. And her passing, it really does hurt. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked, actually. That's kind of where I'm at right this very moment. But I'm really grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be with you, and just to talk about the news of the day. I mean, there's an awful lot to talk about, but there's the passing of our elders, which Dolly is absolutely one of our elders as Americans. But there's also good news about, for instance, Peggy Flanagan winning her primary and being potentially, I think she's going to be the first Native American woman senator, period.
Yeah.
And Deb winning her, her primary, Sharice, going back in, and, so many Native candidates, more Native candidates than we have seen in a generation, successfully running for office and winning their primaries, not as Native people per se, but as people who are Native who are running for America. And I happen to know the people that are running, but I also know their hearts are in the right place, and it's tough. So that gives me a hope for the future, which is important.
Gwen, how long has these polls been off? Has it been 10 years, or have these polls never been accurate? Because they had Angie Craig ahead by 4 points, and she got slaughtered by 20 points by our sister Peggy.
Yeah, well, polls are only as good as the pollsters. First and foremost, because I've known many, many pollsters in the 40 years I've been doing this. So, sometimes, for instance, in Wisconsin as well, the pollsters do not understand what is happening on the ground. They do samples, they do polling, and some people are just really good at it, and some people are really good at creating, compiling a group of people that really reflect what's going on with the voters. But voters we're a strange bunch out here in America. Sometimes it seems like we're waving in one way, but in fact, we're not. So, as I said, polls are only as good as the pollsters. And this year is a different year than we have ever seen in this country, ever.
Yeah, and again, in Minnesota here, I can only speak for, is that they're saying that this election with this mega sideline reporter is close, and if you add the votes up, Peggy beat all 9 Republican candidates with all their numbers included. So that isn't even talking about the 200,000 that Angie Craig got.
Yeah, Peggy it was a landslide victory for her. I mean, it really, truly was. But what it tells me is, I wrote an article on Substack. It's called Native Vote Now and Later, Like the Candy. And there's a reason why I called it that. And there's a reason why Peggy is part of that. And she and Deb and Sharice and others are going to be part of the second Substack, which I'm going to put up tonight, called Native Vote Now and Later Part 2. Because Peggy has done the work. That's what people don't realize about so many Native candidates that are running now, that they have put in the work. I remember the last time I saw Peggy was about 25 years ago or so. She was going up to Wellstone Action. I had lunch with her and another friend of mine. She was going up to Minnesota for Wellstone Action. She worked with Wellstone Action and Paul Wellstone, who was an amazing mentor to so many progressive people, because he was a warrior in his own way. So Peggy went up to Minnesota, was in the DFL, did the work, did the organizing, did the heavy lift, did the campaigns, learned the way things worked, and then found her way legitimately to being lieutenant governor of the state of Minnesota, and then has taken the leap to be the winning candidate. But Peggy has done the work. Peggy knows. Deb Haaland, who is running for New Mexico governor and won her primary, she was the chair of the New Mexico Democratic Party. She knows party politics. She knows how things work. She understands the DNC. She understands the political infrastructure that is so important for anybody to be a winning candidate. But she's done the work too. She's done the heavy lift. So is Charisse. You know, so has I'm sorry, she's in Alaska. It's out of my head at the moment, but
yeah. Well,
Patola. I'm sorry, Mary Patola is the one I'm talking about. All of these particular candidates I'm talking about, they have all done the work. They have all worked within the political system, the political party, to understand how the infrastructure works, how the systems work, and they were able to make those systems work for them and for their candidacy and their winning candidacy as Native women.
Yes, that's amazing. You know, I just really excited. You know, it's funny too. The governor of Minnesota was one of Peggy's students in the Wellstone Academy, and so they go from that too. And I'm just proud. I think some of the things that what I heard, and maybe this is what you mean too by doing the work. They were at the Flanagan people were at almost 300 different locations and things in the state in 1 year. That's amazing. Almost 300.
Yes, I mean, you're right. It is an amazing thing, but it tells you that she really understands how to do on-the-ground organizing. And that is there's the now, which are the candidates that we have. The Native candidates that are running for America on American issues, affordability, environment, housing, the economy, you know, the war, all of the things that affect Americans right now. They're Native candidates who are speaking to the needs of American voters, but they also have the heart of Natives, which is an important thing for us as Natives. And the later part is as equally as important, and it reflects the work that folks like Arvina, folks like myself, who've been doing this for 40 years, I can't even believe that, 40 years, as the first Native political director of the Democratic National Committee, and the only full-time political director ever. The later part is as important as the now, which is funding the infrastructure that affords Native people to run for office and win successfully. That is the later part.
We're here with Gwen Leaffe Carr, and we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Got to take a break. The
city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations.
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a nonstop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, executive chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio, and we are with our friend Gwen Leaffe Carr, an indigenous leader, strategist, and speaker whose work and leadership continues to make an impact on our communities. Gwen, are you in Chicago?
I am in Chicago. That is where I'm currently based, but I talk to people all over the country all the time, every day. Candidates, campaigns, political people who are in the business. After a while, you kind of get to know a whole bunch of people that are doing a whole bunch of different things across the country. So I'm kind of, I have my finger on the pulse of what's going on out there. So
I appreciate that, and very soon Native Roots Radio will be on 5 days a week in Chicago too. So it's great to have you as our reporter from Illinois, but also all over Turtle Island. So it's been great to have you on.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. I mean, it's truly an honor for me to be here with you, talking about things that are really important, for Indian country, but also for America. I mean, this is our land. What happens here is important to Indigenous people in a different way, in addition to what's important to every other American, but it's different for us. It is exceptional and profound, and our ancestors are buried here. Our DNA is from here. It's different. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, definitely. And, I just think it's important to, because we're all over the country here. We're based out of the Twin Cities, but we're on over 30 stations in Wisconsin. And of course, we do the best of on, you probably know the station WOJB up there.
I certainly do.
100-watt station. So we're blessed to be on them, blasting out in Michigan and Iowa and all over the place.
Absolutely. I mean, that's wonderful for you, and there needs to be more bandwidth for you and your show, and the Native journalists and the Native political reporters, Mark Trahant, Brian Bull, so many of the Jody Rave. I know I'm leaving people out, but there are a number of really great reporters who report on news of the day, but they do a good political analysis of what's going on. And since politics is kind of my business, I do the business of Indians and the Indians in politics. So we've got some really great folks out there, including yourself, that give voice to people like me and Arvina and others that Native people really need to hear about. And Native voters have become so much more sophisticated, so much more well-informed because of the work that people like myself and others have done for the past 40, 50, 60 years, in a wide variety of ways. But we really need to have, especially the Democrats and the people, invest in Indian country, invest in building the infrastructures in their state parties. I was a director of the Arizona Democratic Party. I'm one of the few Native women that's ever been an executive director of a statewide political party. And I will tell you that, having a Native caucus at a state party and having representation of tribal people within the party system is one of the reasons why Natives are winning now. So there's now, and then there's later. and there has to be a commitment from the Democratic National Committee, from all the alphabet soup, the DGA, the DCCC, the DSCC, the legislative groups, all of the various different organizations and their donors really need to invest in permanent infrastructure building for Native candidates, the pipeline for Native candidates to be successful as American candidates. Because when Natives win, America wins.
What's really interesting too, and I don't know, we've talked about a lot, but one of the things I really like to bring up too, especially with this next election coming up, is how important Native votes are and have been in big states. And talked up north in Minnesota 2 cycles ago, they a couple groups like Make Voting a Tradition and Rock the Vote Native Style. They got over 10,000 new voters up there. Well, that's enough to change an election, which it has and does.
Yes, Native Vote has, and I can speak from experience because of my experience in Wisconsin. Well, I started the Native Caucus in Wisconsin, which doesn't exist anymore. It's the Wisconsin Democratic Party, which is a problem for them. But when I did back in the 2000s, between 2000 and 2017, I will tell you that the work that we did on the ground with funding for the Native Caucus and people on reservations working with the communities, we turned out 100% of registered voters on 6 out of the reservations in Wisconsin. 100% of those voters. And I have worked with Native Vote all over the country, but Wisconsin was my home for 17 years, and I love Wisconsin. I worked on the Susan Crawford campaign. The Native Votes, when there is a marginal, and I don't mean marginal as in sideline, I mean Natives win on the margins. When you need an extra 10,000 votes, when you need 5,000 votes here, or 500 votes there, or 1,500 votes there, or 2,500 votes there, when you need 5,000, 10,000 votes in Arizona, those voters are there. You just have to invest in them so they will invest in you. And that is what needs to happen in a concerted, planned, organized way that is not happening yet. It is the exception, not the rule, and it needs to be the rule, not the exception.
Well, and I believe a lot of our relatives are sick of people coming around just during election time, and I think that's one of the things that's really changed here in Minnesota with our we have state senators, state representatives, and people in government now.
Yeah.
Educating. Part of their job is educating our allies on our needs and wants and who we are.
Well, Native issues are American issues. I mean, yes, we retain our sovereignty. And a great example of sovereignty and American issues is that the Miccosukee were able to work with allies to shut down alligator Alcatraz. That was sovereignty in action, and that was political sovereignty in action.
Yes.
So that is an American horror story that was mitigated by the original Americans. Come on. I mean, if there is ever a reason to invest, not just in tribal turnout, but urban turnout, because most of the American Indians in the country live in urban centers. And you're right. A lot of Natives, when I was first working in politics, the 2 questions I got were, why should I get involved in white man's politics? And the second one was, they only come around when they want us to vote. But let me give you an example of when they come around and when they mean what they say. John F. Kennedy went to the Menominee Reservation when he was running for president. In the homes of Menominee people, and I know because I spent a lot of time in Menominee with Ada and working with Get Out the Vote. So the houses in Menominee, when you went to visit people, door to door, canvassing people, or just visiting people to go have a meal, there was a picture of John F. Kennedy. There was a picture of John F. Kennedy when he came to the reservation. They had been a Democratic stronghold in Wisconsin. You know why? Because John F. Kennedy took the time to come to an Indian reservation. His brother, Robert F. Kennedy, who should be shamed by his son, his brother went to Wounded Knee specifically to go to Wounded Knee on his spiritual journey of awakening. So, there are reasons why the political parties need to invest in Indian country, because investing in Indian country is investing in America, and investing in Native voters invests in Native candidates and non-Native candidates who align with our values. And that's why it's important. And that's why I'm sending the call out to the Democratic Party. Invest in Indian country. And if you want to know why, or you want to know how, call me. It's as simple as that. So, you know, that's really an important message that I feel really compelled to give now. You know, I could have said this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but this country is on the brink of collapse. And I don't say that lightly, because, you know, I have, you know, felt that we were, you know, on a tricky path for a while. But I mean, come on, look at what's happening with all of the things in this country. Look at what is happening to gas prices and AI data centers and Canada and the tariffs and the war in Iran and all of the abuses and the corruption that is happening in this country. We have to stop that. And as Indigenous people, we have the ability to do that in ways that other people do as well, but we have a different relationship with this land.
Well, I want to thank our friend Gwen Leaffe Carr for that. It was excellent. Really sorry about the bad news. My daughter was really sad too, and I'm kind of stunned too of Dolly Parton. Yeah.
But anyway, Robert, thank you so much for having me as usual. I look forward to coming back and talking further.
Right on. And we will have you back. This is great. Up next, we have our friend Arvina Martin, and with our political consultant in Wisconsin. So it's an all 5-state area show. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio, and we'll be back right after this short break. Please stay with us.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations. This is Robert Pilot. At the Great Minnesota Get-Together, Native Voices take center stage on Indigenous Peoples Day at Dan Patch Park, August 30th. A full day of programming showcases Indigenous peoples' interconnectedness through language, culture, art, and food. Enjoy theatrical performances, music, dance, and presentations along with more than 20 exhibitors from across the state. This is all free with fair admission. Tickets are just $17 at mnstatefair.org through August 26th. That's the Minnesota State Fair, August 27th through September 7th. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible Indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. I know no one wants to talk about this, but summer is going to be winding down already, and we're all going to be rushing to make the most of the month before State Fair time arrives. While we're trying to cram in as much of that final summer fun as we can, don't forget to stop and smell the flowers. But if you realize what you actually smell is the carpet, you gotta call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to freshen up the late summer feeling. Zero Res can take care of almost any surface in your home: carpet, tile, rugs, hardwood, upholstery, and much more. If it's been months since your last deep clean, it's time to call. Zero Res is marking the end of summer with this amazing sale. Buy 2 rooms of carpet cleaning and get 2 rooms of carpet for free, plus 20% off all air duct cleaning services. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 65, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 81. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we are here with our friend. We're honored to welcome Arvina Martin, our political consultant here out of Wisconsin and all over Turtle Island. And, I just want to say that you're a trailblazer who made history as the first Native person elected to Madison, Wisconsin's Common Council. And you also served as vice president of the Common Council in 2020, which really doesn't seem that long ago, but it is 6 years ago. That's I'm old. What the heck? That just seemed like a couple years ago. Welcome.
I always think that the pandemic kind of changed all of our perception of time, and that it simultaneously seems like yesterday, but also like a million years ago. So, it's weird to think of it being that long ago, but things are so different than it was back then. It wasn't that long ago, but just the way things change, it's crazy to see. And it certainly messes with my own sense of time. I don't know about you.
Oh, definitely. Being 65 5 years ago is not that long ago. Hey, I got to bring this up. Wendy was playing Dolly Parton. She had talked to our daughter, who was very sad, and I was kind of stunned and that she was gone. I knew she was sick, but I didn't know in what way. What a great person for people to look up to.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows her incredible musical talent. She was a songwriter who, if you don't know, wrote the song Jolene the same day she wrote the song I Will Always Love You, which was originally her song. The Whitney Houston version from the movie The Bodyguard is a cover, but Dolly always said that Whitney owned that song, that she took it somewhere that Dolly didn't, went in her version. And it also is kind of a nice jump off point. Her songwriting and her musical skills. She was obviously a very talented singer, a guitar player, but she was also, quite a philanthropic person, and she did so much good for communities all across the country. With the royalties that she got for Whitney's version of I Will Always Love You, she used that and invested that money into a Black neighborhood in Nashville, Tennessee. And she had offices there and was helping, build that community up. And she referred to that as the house that Whitney built. So, she was very, she was very concerned about the well-being of her fellow human beings. And, she also, a lot of people have heard about her literacy program where she would, families could sign up and their kids would get books from her foundation throughout their childhood from a very, very young age to help promote literacy in youth. And before I jumped on here, I was trying to find information about things that she did, in terms of contributions or philanthropically for Indian country. And as you can understand, every link that I tried to click that went to the Dolly Parton Foundation or Dollywood or anything affiliated with her, the links didn't work. So I imagine everybody in the world is trying to catch up on the amazing good things that Dolly has done. And the Dollywood Foundation actually expanded that literacy program. And I'm not sure what year, because again, the sources are kind of overloaded at the moment, but to 92 Indigenous communities, which led to a partnership with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and help them expand the program further into Indian country across the United States. So, she contributed to our communities as well, to the literacy of our youth, and helps provide them with an educational start that they might not have been able to get. And I know people whose children have received books from the Dollywood Foundation. So, she is absolutely 100% touched so many lives, not just through her wonderful music, her beautiful voice, this iconic songs that are going to be a part of our collective memory. But because she did good works, and not to mention, she donated over $1 million to Vanderbilt University, which they used to help develop the first Moderna COVID vaccine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I remember getting that. And I remember I got my vaccine through the Ho-Chunk Nation Department of Health. Yeah. Shout out.
Yes.
And I was so stoked. I mean, I was stoked to be getting the vaccine, period, but I was very, very, very happy that it was the Moderna vaccine, because then I could say I got the Dolly vaccine. So, thank her for all of that, all of it.
Well, let's talk just for a second about the song 9 to 5, but the movie 9 to 5, how empowering that was in the 80s. I do believe, and she was a big part of that, of course, with Jane Fonda and a couple other actors that are prominent, but that song and who she was, she almost played it kind of herself in that movie.
Yeah, and this is the point where I admit I've not actually seen 9 to 5. It came out when I was pretty young, so I wasn't really the target audience. But I still am aware of its impact and how it was part of the change for women in the workplace, going from that 1950s kind of like Mad Men era where, women employees would get a pat on the backside and, or a pinch here and there. And were absolutely what we would now call sexually harassed, and possibly even in some cases sexually assaulted as part of their normal work days. And she absolutely helped change that so that was not acceptable anymore. And I always think of that also with the movie Working Girl that I know I saw in the 80s when I was little, but I don't really remember as much. And I feel like I need to have a marathon now. But the song 9 to 5, man or woman, I mean, how many of us can relate to that grind, of like, just, you got to go in and you're hoping that you're going to be taken seriously. The ideas of the work that you do being taken seriously. I mean, it resonates with so many people, men and women alike. Like we get it. We understand that. She spoke to us. And you know, it's just such an iconic song. And you know, God bless every time somebody sings that at karaoke and everybody else sings along because they love it so much and know it well. You know, she's been a hallmark of the late 20th and early 21st centuries. And you know, her legacy, like, we're only beginning to understand what her legacy is going to be. And I don't know for a fact, but I would not be surprised with the way that she has presented herself. My cat is walking across my lap, so the tail. That I would not be surprised to hear that she would, like, if she gave more money to more organizations that she never announced publicly. Right. You know, because she was that kind of person. And I know that whether it was in her hometown or somewhere wanted to put I think Tennessee wanted to put a statue up of her. And she asked them, no, you know, you don't do that. You know, like, there's better people to honor. So, and incredibly humble and not concerned about, you know, getting accolades for the work that she did.
Well, speaking of accolades, I always think it's important that people, not only the fans, but when people in your own industry really think you're great, which many people, not only we talked earlier about recording their music, but also, you know, recording the songs that they did and really talking about, I'm thinking of Miley Cyrus singing Jolene and
Beyonce.
Many other, right.
He had a version of Jolene too. You know, these are cultural touchstones. And even besides, you know, the covers and younger generations covering that song, it's had an impact also in other more surprising ways. Like, I'm a member of a Facebook group on Facebook, obviously, called This Cat is Jolene. And it's basically people taking pictures of their cats who love their partners more than they love them. And, you know, it's a concept. And, you know, it's beyond just a song. You know, it's just permeated through our culture in so many ways. You know, there are so few people who have had the kind of impact, both societal impact and cultural impact, that she has had. And while, you know, she was 80 years old, so it's not super surprising that, and we knew that she was ill for a bit. It's still sad. And I am not afraid to admit that I got teary several times today, thinking about the things that she did, thinking about, you know, even just her being an inspiration for, you know, kind of like the work that I like and hope I'm doing, you know, and spreading hope and making sure that we all have the resources that we need in order to thrive and succeed. And it doesn't matter if you get credit. Does it matter if it has the impact? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what matters. And that's what Dolly was.
Wow. I'm so happy we did this segment on Dolly. I really am. And I know Gwen was really upset. She had her sunglasses on. She was so upset in the last segment because she had just heard it during our news break. So yeah, it's shocking, and I'm glad we're talking about her, and I'm glad I'm talking to you. This is Arvina Martin, and Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after the short break. Please stay with us. Ho!
Fair fun starts on Metro Transit. Instead of driving, park your car for free at one of 6 express bus sites and take a nonstop air-conditioned ride straight to the Minnesota State Fair. Or take one of the 3 regular bus routes that serve the fairgrounds. Learn more at metrotransit.org/state-fair. That's metrotransit.org/state-fair.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. The Minnesota State Fair is packed with 12 days of fun with food, rides, shows, and so much more. And right in the middle of it all, you'll find Indigenous voices making an impact. Visit with Native authors and mathematicians, watch drum groups, hear presentations, enjoy music, and see our stories uplifted across the fairgrounds. It's all included with your state fair admission. Tickets are just $17 through August 26th at mnstatefair.org. That's the Minnesota State Fair, August 27th through September 7th.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio. We're with our friend Arvina Martin, our political consultant directly out of the great state of Wisconsin, Madison. There's a couple things I want to bring up with you, Arvina. And again, I really enjoyed our last segment talking about Dolly Parton. So we have the State Fair here in Minnesota coming up, and we'll be live at the State Fair on Thursday and Friday coming up this week. It's the largest fair next to Texas, which Texas's fair is 30 days, and we're only 12, and there's a couple million people that go through there, and so we're really excited. And I just got to give a quick shout out too for Native Roots Trading Posts will be out there, and then on the 30th, it'll be Indigenous Peoples Day at the State Fair, and so I'll be there with the circle tabling there, and of course, Native Roots Trading Post will be right down the road. If you need any swag or any art or any puzzles, I've been doing native puzzles too, and that's pretty cool. And we have the Circle magazine, Arvina, coming out, and it's the State Fair. It's in a limited edition State Fair back to school edition. And again, being a former teacher, it's that time of year right now.
It is. My daughter had her first day of school today at Notre Dame de la Baye high school in Green Bay, and she is a senior. So this is, kind of our last first day of school, at least in this context. She'll be starting school wherever she ends up. But I don't know about you, but looking at everybody's first day of school pictures, I love it. On Facebook, when parents post or folks post pictures of their kids going to school, it makes me so happy. It's kind of like a new obviously it's a new beginning. It's a new beginning of a school year, but it represents so much more. And the path and the future of all of these young students and taking another step in their education and them growing just so much every year and going through and looking at all these first day of school pictures from kindergarten on. You just see how your child changes and everybody's kids change. And it's just so exciting because we need this hope for the future. And that's what the first day of school is to me, is reminding ourselves of this is there is a future that these children are going to inherit. We have to make sure that we are preparing the world for them. Very much along the lines of like the seventh generation and how you are supposed to be taking care of land, etc. But we are just the caretakers, and we have a whole lot of things that we need to fix right now for them. And it's a reminder. It's also a reminder of why we do that, because we want the world to be better for them so that they can just continue to succeed and things can keep improving. Things can, it's so simple to say, keep getting better, but that's really what it is. And they're going to have their shot at being caretakers for the generation after them. And, the best things that we can do is to prepare them and to prepare this world for them because they deserve the best.
Hey, Arvina, one of the things that, and I know you're busy, so you don't listen to Native Roots Radio all the time, but we have our friend Bob Blake from Red Lake who does a Solar Bear in the solar news and sports. But it seems like the sports is kind of leaning towards more Minnesota, and I'm looking forward to you to have more of a national lens and local in Wisconsin too. So there's been some really fun stuff happening here in this preseason of football. And the Brewers, by the way.
What was that? I missed that last part.
And the Brewers are doing so well.
I mean, that's exciting, but we also, still have the heartbreak of last year of, getting completely destroyed by the LA Dodgers, multi-million-dollar team, or, beyond what our little small market team has. But we, had a good run and are doing the same thing again and now. And but I do have to mention, because I just spent the last couple of days looking at all of the content with and I'm probably going to say his first name wrong, Shiaj Pete, the Navajo man who was a walk-on player in college and now is played with the is on the Dallas Cowboys and got to play a game in Arizona. And watching him talk about seeing so many Navajo Nation flags and other tribal nations that we're representing, and seeing all of those Native faces in the stands, what an amazing experience, both for him and the fans, and he is a young Navajo man who is unabashedly a Navajo man. I saw a question where somebody asked him to describe the moment and in one word. And the word that he chose was a word in Navajo, not an English word. It was Hojo. And of course, now I'm blanking on what that means. Apologies, Mr. Pete, for forgetting. But and he plays. His hair is long. He has, you can see his braid poking out from under his helmet. He was a guy that we can relate to, that we get. He's like our relatives. We see how he carries himself in public. And then the team had him give like the locker room post-game speech. And boy, was it like the Navajo Shakespearean version of like I'm Henry the Sixth, Henry the Fourth. Oh my God, I'm forgetting. And how he gave in that play that Shakespeare wrote, he gave his, we few, we band of brothers, for those who fight with me today shall be my brother. And
wow,
the speech that Shias Pete gave was along those lines, but at the same time, 100% Navajo informed, Navajo inspired. That was him from his experience, talking about how his teammates are his brothers because of that star that they wear, and how they've gone out there as teammates, but they came out brothers. And just like, I'm going to be honest, all I can think about is how the Green Bay Packers acquire him.
Hey, I was just going to say too, the Red Sox, who have been red hot, have Anthony Siegler, and they just had a big on the 19th, a big event, Native American Heritage Night, and he's really helping their surge. They've really come out of nowhere too.
Oh yeah, and I want to note that he's a former Brewer, and yeah, so hooray. I'm going to claim up on him too. And yeah, I actually had quite a few friends that were at that game and were just so excited. And the fact that, you know, he was out there and playing, you know, what it's just such a remarkable instance. I mean, both of these two young men of being examples, and that our kids can stand in front of the TV watching these professional athletes and think, oh, I could do that too. I mean, it's just so remarkable. And I'm so happy that our kids now have these guys to look up to.
Absolutely. Really great hearing from you, Arvina. Thank you so much for stopping in as always and having this chat. Really meaningful chat. There was a couple times I got emotional, and I appreciate you and appreciate all you've done.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, we'll see you soon. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plenty Coops, the ground on which we stand on. It's sacred ground. We'll see you tomorrow. Ho!
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air.